The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by Lifeguard Imaging.
Coming up on Bloom, the science behind red light therapy. It works on everything from inflammation to new growth of neurons, and how new laser technology is being used for anti-aging, weight and pain management, and scalp rejuvenation.
That's infrared. You need to penetrate the scalp. You need to penetrate all the way into the nerves, into the brain. So that's actually a lot of power.
Plus, a revolutionary way to tighten loose skin. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. Modern medicine is reaching new heights. So today we're talking about high-tech healing and showcasing technology available right here in Tampa Bay that is changing people's lives. In fact, our area is one of 7 in the nation where people can take their health into their own hands by scanning for hundreds of different forms of cancer and heart disease in their earliest stages. It's being reported 1 to 3 lives are being saved every day in Tampa Bay thanks to this preventative scan. Joining me now with more is the Director of Operations for Lifeguard Imaging, Frankie Maldonado. Frankie, it is so great to see you.
Always good to see you, Gayle.
So Frankie, Father's Day is around the corner, and you and I have talked for years about how we wish this technology was around when our fathers were alive.
It's painful. I mean, it's a bittersweet thing. You know, I'm a father, so I get to experience it with my children, but it's a painful thing. I miss him so much. I know you miss your dad every day as well, and it's a shame it wasn't available the way it is now back then.
Yeah, and both of our fathers, we're looking at pictures of yours right now, died from pancreatic cancer, something that the Lifeguard Imaging scans for, along with hundreds of other different forms of cancer and heart disease.
That's correct, and it's an amazing thing to consider that when I was actually running a different facility before coming here to Lifeguard, that we actually saved a woman's life from pancreatic cancer. The fact that everybody doesn't know that that's a capability is tragic, because you consider it's happened and it can continue to happen because these things are not stopping. They're continuing, and at bigger, larger numbers in our bodies, these things are happening.
Yeah, and you know, people do say, I hear it often even, and I don't understand why. I don't want to know, but I wanted to share some pictures of my father, and when you see the life that this guy had, and we would dance all the time, we would have the time of our lives together, and there we are. He was such a special man to me, and he was like that up until the moment he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He would live life to the fullest. And had Lifeguard Imaging been around, we would have been dancing for so many more years together.
You know, if people can take anything from this particular show that we're doing, Gayle, they don't have to suffer that type of pain. Listen, we're all going to go someday.
Right.
But I know you feel the way I do. If I could have had 1 more year with my dad, let alone 20, if he could have met my wife and my children, it would have been so special, and it'll never happen. But the people who are here now, if they're able to get these scans, and if there's something going on in their bodies, and we will find it, they can survive and have more experience, more memories, and more time together at precious holidays like Father's Day. Yeah,
without a doubt. If I could have only gotten 1 more dance with my dad, it would have meant everything to me. And we're looking at how simple and easy the scan is, and we've talked to, you know, one person after the next here on Bloom who did decide to get the full legacy body scan and become part of the program, you know, get a scan every year to know what's going on in their bodies. And man, the life-saving stories are unbelievable.
Well, we're going to have more of our patients come on and tell stories with you, Gayle, because we're being approached by them. They're calling us and saying, listen, this is what just happened. Tell me how I can tell my story. So more and more people are going to hear about them. We're going to have the actual patients coming on, but you're right. It's an amazing thing, but we're blessed to be doing this. And the most important thing is it's here in Tampa. Take advantage of it. We'll help anybody who wants us to help them.
Yeah, it's people that literally didn't have to go through chemotherapy. The cancer did not spread. They were able to get the treatment that they needed, you know, in a way where they didn't have to suffer and their family didn't have to suffer. People have come in and said, I was about to keel over from a heart attack and I had no idea. And a lot of these people look so healthy. So don't judge a book by its cover, because you can look like the epitome of health and still have something lurking.
That's what's so intimidating. you're right. We have people that come in, we say all the time, they look like Olympic athletes. And then you find these massive scores of calcium in their arteries. You find, tragically, shadows on the organs of their bodies. And again, these are non-symptomatic conditions. That's why they call them the silent killers. They're not silent anymore. We're shining a light on them, bringing them to the forefront. And as you said, people are surviving with quality of life without the need for radiation or chemotherapy. And often that's the biggest thing right there.
Well, I think it's really cool that you're growing this technology and making it available to more and more people in honor of your father. Thank you so much for coming on, Frankie.
Appreciate it, Gail. Thank you.
All right, call today, right now, 813-582-5222, or visit lifeguardimaging.com. You'll receive a Bloom special offer, a free heart scan when you mention Gayle or Bloom. That's a $599 value, so call today, 813-582-5222 for this special offer. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Lifeguard Imaging.
You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now, 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. There is new laser technology on the market being used for anti-aging, weight management, pain management, and scalp rejuvenation, and so much more. Here to tell us more about how these new lasers work is the CEO of Queliv, Mike Keys. Mike, welcome to Bloom.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be here.
So lasers are hitting all new heights when it comes to the technology coming to the marketplace.
Yes.
And this is all new stuff.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Laser technology has actually been around a long time. But it's changed a lot over the years. I mean, there's, cars have changed too, right? 20-year-old cars,
Cell phones.
Cell phones, everything else. Well, the new lasers that are coming out far surpass everything from days past. And we happen to be not yesterday's laser or today's laser. We're beyond tomorrow's technology, actually.
Yeah, it's incredible what's happening on the marketplace. And I want to take people through just some of the lasers and what they're being used for. The first one we're going to look at deals with cognitive issues.
True. We have lasers for a number of different issues. Cognitive, which would deal with people with concussion. We use them on athletes that have concussion, dementia, Parkinson's. People come in shaken and they walk out shaken.
Yeah, and shaking a lot less. Now, we don't see a lot of light there, but there's a reason for that.
That's right, because that's infrared. You need to penetrate the scalp. You need to penetrate all the way into the nerves, into the brain. So that's actually a lot of power, but they're infrared. The only lights you see there are those purple lights. We have virus protection built in also. So if you have a cold or if you're sick or if you had COVID, you're not going to be healed of COVID, but you're not going to contaminate the neighbor next to you.
That's incredible. All right, so the next one that we're going to look at is body contouring, which is, I'm sure, hugely popular.
Yes, it is. It's huge, and it's not a weight loss machine. I mean, I love all the gimmicks with weight loss. We don't do weight loss. This is body contouring, and what it does is it breaks up the, let's say, you want to get in a bathing suit to get to the beach. It breaks up some of the cellulite or cottage cheese on the legs, right? And then it follows up. We have a smoother that goes on top of it, which will be a green light, which you'll probably have, and that smooths it.
Okay.
So this isn't so much a weight loss, but inches fall off. They fall off, but it doesn't mean you're dumping 20 pounds.
Right.
So that's a nice gimmick when you hear that.
This is for tweaking. So the different colors, and we did have like video of a green one.
Right.
Then how does that work to actually smooth the skin?
Different lasers are going to do different things, and ours are all geared towards that. The reason you see different colors are different wavelengths and different quantities of power. You want to penetrate the skin to the right depths. If it's a pain laser, it's going to go deep. If it's skin or body contouring, it's going to go light because you want to just do the layers. Yes.
And speaking of which, there's also research supporting using these lasers, if someone's suffering from Crohn's disease, psoriasis, acne. I mean,
there's white papers, there's clinical studies. Yes, and there are a lot of that stuff's you'll find on our website. But I wish we had this when our kids were young. That happens to be what we call parasitic laser. So my kids had acne when they were young, and that would have been wonderful to have, right? Same thing with people that might have lupus or Crohn's disease or shingles.
Wow.
Yeah, it all helps. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And then also, we talk about pain as well. I mean, you say that's something that
well, that's my deal. My wife likes the anti-aging and the cosmetic. I live in the pain laser.
And athletes, you know, we were looking at some red, but there's even, this is the one right there that you can come and sit under for pain.
Right.
Which, you know, there's a lot of ball players, I mean, professional athletes.
We sell to high net worth individuals, athletes, but people that come into our Qualiv centers, they come in for pain, whatever that pain may be, right? And that's the storm in their body. It may be neuropathy, it may be back pain, it may be knee pain, maybe MS, right, the pain. And Qualiv, we quell the storm in their body, hence the name Qualiv.
I love it. And you're looking at how that light goes right through the skin, and that's how you know that it's penetrating into heal.
That's the big difference with other lasers. We have extreme amount of power that pushes that light into the bone marrow, helps create fresh blood, oxygenate the area, which gets rid of the inflammation. So it sends a signal to your brain, there's no pain.
Now, you have a celebrity friend that you've known for many, many decades.
Oh, yeah.
Who's also into this.
Yeah, Anthony Robbins, the success coach, right?
Yeah.
Tony and I have been buddies for, I don't know, 45, 50 years. We're getting a little older, darling. But the Tony lives on these. He's got them in his home. He's got them in on his jet. He has them in his summer home. He has them in his winter home. He actually we made a laser bed for Tony in between when he's on stage in front of 15,000 of his closest friends, and he takes a break. A lot of times he'll get in that laser to kind of rejuvenate, because he gets sore jumping around and being on stage for hours.
And what's so interesting is we have so many doctors that come on Bloom, and they really are embracing laser technology. It seems to be the future, and I know you don't make claims, and nor do we, of anything about healing per se, but there is a lot of research that supports that, you know, that this helps people.
It does, and I think that what people have to realize is there are ways to take care of a lot of these issues without a pill or a shot.
Right.
We don't knock it. A lot of people need it. I'm not knocking the medical society in any way, but this is another option for the marketplace. And we can take care, if we can mitigate the pain, then you can endure a little bit, and the body can heal itself.
Yeah, it
right?
has. The body
we
is
were
very...
built, we were built right. We contaminate ourselves, right?
Right, exactly,
Right, yeah.
exactly. Well, Mike, hey, thank you for coming on. I know you're an expert in the area, and we appreciate you, telling our Bloom viewers the future is here. Thanks so much.
Yep, you got to try it. Thank you very much.
Well, you can find Mike's story on bloomtampabay.com, and when we come back, triple board certified physician Dr. Lisa Coach shares the research behind laser therapy and how she sees it work firsthand in her practice. Bloom will be right back. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. There's a growing trend happening in Tampa Bay, the same place people find tanning beds. Well, you can also buy monthly memberships to access red light beds. Clinical studies show the therapy uses low-level light to treat skin conditions, reduce inflammation, and speed up healing. In this week's Blooming with Gayle, I talked to triple board certified physician Dr. Lisa Coach to find out if this is a good idea.
More doctors are giving the green light for patients to access red light therapy, and it's becoming more easily accessible across Tampa Bay.
If tanning facilities are now thinking about letting go of tanning beds and turning them to red light, that's actually amazing.
Triple certified physician Dr. Lisa Coach is a big believer in red light therapy for aesthetic reasons like improving skin quality, and she uses it as a healing modality.
We've actually had patients get off their blood pressure medication. We've had dramatic improvement with people with wounds. So it's also really great for healing and healing of the skin. So people that were gonna have to go back into surgery for post-op wounds, things that weren't healing, and their surgeon wanted to operate, we've had this numerous times where they've gotten on the bed and we've healed them.
But not all red light is created equal. Dr. Coach says make sure you're accessing FDA-cleared technology.
So the light is actually going like through my body?
Yeah, so it goes through the skin.
The red light wavelengths should be between 620 to 660 to have therapeutic value.
So a person takes off their clothes, they lay down in here,
Yeah,
and how long do they stay?
You have to be undressed because, again, it goes through the skin, so it won't pass through clothes. Ideally, our main treatment protocol is 20 minutes on each side. You will lay on your back, and then we've got a facial panel right here that will go over your face while you're on your back. And then when you flip over, it's kind of like a massage table and you do 20 minutes on your stomach.
Dr. Coach says you should not be exposing yourself to UV lights for tanning and then using red light therapy.
That's a no-no, because then you're blending a lot of different frequencies that do different things, so I would not recommend that.
But finding the right bed with approved technology could be a natural way to heal your body.
And joining me now in studio is Dr. Lisa Coach with more on the healing powers of red light therapy. Dr. Coach, welcome, and thank you so much for letting me stop by your office to see firsthand how this works.
Always.
So it is remarkable. You were one of the first to bring this technology to the Tampa Bay area, and while we hear a lot about it, maybe go to Sephora and see how we can put it on our face with a handheld, you believe from head to toe this is a healing technology.
Yeah, I think it's been hijacked by just the wrinkles and collagen benefits. But the truth is there are a lot of incredible systemic benefits. It increases a very important compound called nitric oxide, which helps blood flow and blood pressure and helps cardiac health. It works on everything from inflammation to new growth of neurons. So many, many, many benefits that can be found when you use it in a full body way.
Now, in the story, you pointed out to our viewers that, you know, it is buyer beware. Now that you're seeing more and more of this technology out there, you say look for wavelengths between 610 and 680. I believe that was the range that you mentioned in the story. And so it's important to know that you're getting an FDA cleared true therapeutic value and you're not just sitting under some red light.
Sure. I mean, there's that where you may be wasting time and money, but there's also the fact that light as a tool has many different wavelengths. You need to understand them because they may not be helpful. You may be using like UV light, which is what tanning beds use, that are not safe. So for infrared, near infrared and red light therapy, the ones with the most data behind them is a wavelength of about 660 and around 810, 820 for near infrared, which is invisible. So most red light therapy combines both. You've got the visible red in the 660 range and then an invisible ray as well. And they both have benefits systemically that include, like I said, everything from lowering blood pressure to clearing your brain for positive mood impact to helping the mitochondria, which is our energy producing cells, to healing wounds. We've had women who were supposed to go in for surgical repair of breast implants and they had a complication and we were able to heal them with multiple times. We've had several cases where they did not have to go back under into the OR where we were able to heal it with the light.
You have talked about mitochondria a lot on this show. And then as I was deep diving and doing my researching into red light therapy and the link to that, can you kind of give us a better understanding of what the mitochondria is and how now red light therapy is linked to even that?
Absolutely. So the mitochondria in simple terms are the powerhouse of the cell. They're the location inside of our cells. So they are in every one of our cells except for our red blood cells. Different organs have higher amounts of mitochondria in their cells. The ones that use the most energy, like our brains, our muscles, they're going to have more in our heart than maybe other areas. Our testes are men's testes and ovaries in women, so fertility. So the healthier the mitochondria is, which involves taking oxygen from the air we breathe and taking electrons from our food or the earth, and then a very complex steps that it goes through to spit out the energy molecule, which is ATP. That's very simplified. It turns out there's many other things. The mitochondria is also responsible for protecting the cell. So it will respond when the cell's under stress and it will shut down. So when we're looking at how to take care of our mitochondria, it is a combination. We've got to decrease the signals going in that are dangerous, which could be everything from fluorescent lights to a stressful argument we had with a partner, to the food we're eating. So we need to decrease that, but we can also increase a lot of the good inputs, so the morning sun, grounding, earthing, meditation. So there are many ways to help our mitochondria, and the healthier they are, the more of them, because we can trigger the production of new mitochondria, and that's where red light comes in, where we didn't realize that actually you can make more of these mitochondria. So we can make them function better through some of the things I just mentioned, but we can also trigger a big fancy word called mitochondrial biogenesis, which just means we can make new ones. And red light is one of those ways, something that has been proven through the light therapy. We have receptors in our cells for light, and it will give a message that triggers the die-off of the mitochondria that aren't as healthy and then triggers the production of new, healthier ones.
That's absolutely fascinating. Well, I have to say, like, I always feel in the know. Like, everyone's talking about red light. I've been talking red light with Dr. Coach for years now, but now we have a broader understanding. People have more access to it, so we appreciate you shedding light on the topic.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to share Dr. Coach's story on BloomTampaBay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. A lot of people don't have the downtime or the budget for liposuction, but new technology is out combining ultrasound cavitation, radio frequency, and red light, and is yielding some pretty promising results. Here to tell us more about the technology is Doctor of Chiropractic Medicine, Dr. Doug Arvanitis. It is so great to see you, Dr. Doug.
Hi, Gail. Thank you for having me.
So we were just showing a little bit of video of like some real problem areas for a lot of women, and that's sagging skin, and sometimes the combination of needing to lose weight around a certain area and tighten up that skin. Can you tell me more about new iShape and how it works?
Well, the iShape technology is a little different from what's out there right now. A lot of companies are just using the radio frequency and the red light, and they're getting okay results. But the iShape technology is using ultrasound cavitation, and we're also using the radio frequency and the red light. And the key is the ultrasound cavitation. The key to getting permanent fat loss and body contouring is we need to get through the outer membrane of that fat cell as fast as possible. The faster you can get through that, like cracking an egg, the faster you can affect that cell, heat it up, and then it gets eliminated from the body.
And actually, people will see the fat maybe in their urine. It releases. You drink the water, you flush out your body, and out goes the fat. Now, if you don't go back to a good lifestyle and eat the right foods, exercise, stay hydrated, you're going to gain that fat back. But that fat is gone once it's you go through a series of treatments.
Correct. And the thing you just touched upon is very important. It's the lifestyle. We need to make lifestyle changes. And we can kill the fat cells. We're only born with a certain amount of fat cells. And if we can kill those fat cells and eliminate them from the body, there's less fat cells to expand if we have a bad lifestyle. So we need to touch on that, the exercise, the good nutrition, things like that.
But you are seeing some pretty impressive results. I mean, the skin tightening, the technology seems to be working, that's making its way onto the marketplace.
It is, and the good thing is we're exclusive in Tampa, number one. There's only a few of these in the United States right now, and
so it's
we're
brand
fortunate.
new.
It's brand new. And it is getting, we tell people, depending on what body part they're doing, you can expect 1 to 3 inches gone the very first day, very first treatment. And then by the third treatment, we know exactly how your body's going to metabolize this.
And so the alternative, I know like throughout the years we've been following technology on Bloom, and it changes and it grows all the time. I mean, it's always being fine-tuned. But back in the day, people were going for like aggressive liposuction, and that comes with a lot of downtime. It comes with a lot of pain. So the name of the game is the technology that's coming on the marketplace today is to avoid these more invasive procedures.
Correct, and there's a lot of risk involved with doing the liposuction too. It's one of the most risky procedures you can do.
So are you seeing like an evolution of new technology hitting the marketplace when it comes, because this seems to be a growing field when it comes to anti-aging, weight loss, skin tightening. There seems to be a bit of a revolution going on there with how fast new technology is coming to the marketplace.
It is. It's coming to the marketplace all the time, and look, we all want to maintain our youth. We all want to look a certain way and fight it as long as we can. And with this new technology, we can do it. It's pain-free. It's relatively, doesn't take a lot of time, and it works.
Yeah, and I see that you kind of go in with 2 different phases. First, you kind of heat up for the fat loss, and then afterwards, a different device is used for the actual suction of the skin for the tightening. So it's kind of a 2-part process.
It's a 2-step process depending on the body part again. From the neck up for the face, we don't want to use ultrasound cavitation. We want to maintain the fat in the face. We just want to tighten the skin and help develop collagen.
All right, and then for the body, though, that's where the cavitation comes in.
Yes.
And then talk to me about the combining with the red light, how the red light plays a role into this.
Well, all 3 of this plays a role between the ultrasound cavitation. Again, we want to break down that fat cell as fast as possible. And then the RF and the red light's going to do the skin tightening and also help with more fat loss.
Okay, well, I have to tell you, it's fascinating to learn about the new technology. I mean, we've dedicated the entire show today to kind of share with our viewers that, hey, new things are coming on the marketplace and they're becoming available in the Tampa Bay area. So very exciting stuff. Dr. Doug, it is a pleasure to see you, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much again.
All right, we're going to share Dr. Doug's story on BloomTampaBay.com. And before we go to break, it's time for today's Bloom Trivia question. Which of these foods is said to tighten saggy skin? Cucumbers, watermelons, or eggplants? We'll have the answer later on Bloom. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. There is a new approach to dealing with stress by addressing its root cause. Joining me now with more is the founder of Restored Identity, board-certified functional health practitioner, Amy Miller. Amy, welcome to Bloom.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So this is exciting because there's a new approach to helping people feel better, whether it is mentally, physically, by having a personalized approach to what's going on.
Yes, correct. We actually have a systematic approach that we've created at our company that helps to relieve stress in the body. And often the reason we can't take on stress is because our body is just full of so much toxins. So even just the smallest little thing out of place can cause such like a reaction in our body. So we've developed a system. It doesn't matter what type of illness you're dealing with or anything. You just open the pathways, take the metals out of the body, and then go after parasites, and then the body is just restored. And that relieves the stress that's building up in the body, and that helps you function at a level where you're like, okay, these little things going on around me aren't so tough, because you just feel better. And when you feel better, you can operate better.
Talk to me about how we're being exposed to so many toxins, because if you look at blood work of people, I mean, I feel like I have a pretty clean living life, yet, my blood work shows, and, advanced stuff shows that toxins just build up.
Yeah, they do. I mean, so it's obviously the food that we're eating. We have a lot of processed foods, high sugar foods, medications we're taking, even body products that we use are filled with these chemicals that disrupt our endocrine system, which means our hormones go out of whack, and then our thyroid goes, and then all of a sudden we're just like, we're tired all the time. And all you have to do is take these simple steps to remove these toxins and put back the good stuff that we know. On my TikTok, I teach people how to make all their own products and stuff. So it's like, if we just take away the toxins and start putting the bad stuff in, the good stuff back in, then the body can restore itself.
Yeah, talk to me about your TikTok handle. It's different from the name we just introduced you. Yeah.
So when I'm a big believer. So when I created my TikTok, it was Amy and Elohim, which is another name for God. And my TikTok blew up so quickly that everybody just started calling me Amy Elohim. So that's how that name came about. And
you do believe a lot in faith-based healing, because I've been watching your TikToks and reading up on you, and that plays a big role in the balance that you personally find in life.
Yeah, God put everything here for us. He said, I give you every seed-bearing fruit there was for food. And he said, the leaf thereof shall be for medicine. So I just started taking all of this that I found in scripture, and I'm like, okay, if it worked then, it's got to work now. And I was able to restore my body from celiac, IBS, PCOS, anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia. All of these things just fell by the wayside when I just started putting goodness back in. And that's what led to Restored Identity.
That is really, really interesting. And I think you're right, because I took one of these just for fun, just to see where I was from. I took one of these 23andMe kits. And, it didn't really show a history of cancers, because they do the health aspects of it as well. Right. Yet that both my parents died from cancer, and it just goes to show, like, if you go back to nature, the way my grandmother did things and her grandmother did things, it was a natural approach to healing, and everybody was a lot better back then.
Yes, absolutely, I agree. Lifestyle genetics loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. So it doesn't matter what genetics we have. We can take things back into our own hands and start implementing these, simple ancient ways and restore ourselves. So we don't have to spend a lifetime being sick and feeling miserable.
And it seems just from the amount of followers that you have and the clicks and the likes that people are really, subscribing to what you have to say.
Yeah, because they're putting it into practice. I mean, we have people who had cancer and now they no longer have cancer. We've had people who had cirrhosis and a fatty liver and now they no longer have. So it works if you just trust the process.
Yeah,
it works, yeah.
All right, well, we're going to share Amy's story on bloomtampabay.com. And when we come back, meet retired Air Force Staff Sergeant and former aerial combat photojournalist Stacy Pearsall and find out about her new PBS series After Action when Bloom returns.
Living the Tampa Bay lifestyle means enjoying the sand, sun, and outdoors fun. So get out, get active, and nurture those healthy habits. Hey there, I'm Gayle Guyardo, host of Bloom. Now there's a new all-inclusive place with everything you need to shape your lifestyle, boost your health, and improve your wellness. BloomTampaBay.com, Tampa Bay's premier health and wellness website, made to help you feel good. Whether you're a fitness fanatic, beauty buff, or just want to take your first step towards positive change, this free website is for you. See the Bay Area's hottest fitness products, the latest workout crazes, and learn nutrition tips from the experts. Plus, discover local events and experiences designed with your well-being in mind. Cultivate a healthy mind, body, and soul. Check out BloomTampaBay.com, your local health and wellness website. That's BloomTampaBay.com.
A retired Air Force Staff Sergeant and former aerial combat photojournalist who earned the Bronze Star Medal and Air Force Commendation with Valor for combat actions in Iraq is out with a new series on PBS where she taps into her own struggles to challenge her fellow veterans to probe deeper into their stories.
I never would want them to hear, hey, I made a mistake by going, because I don't think I did. It was hard. You just want your kids to be proud of you.
It's frustrating because it feels very much like you factor the cost of a body bag, but you didn't factor the cost of taking care of me.
Most of my career I spent in chronic pain from being misdiagnosed. And one time I died and they had to bring me back to life.
Joining me now is Air Force veteran, host and producer of the PBS series After Action, Stacy Pearsall. Stacy, welcome to Bloom, and thank you so much for your service.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
So talk to me a little bit about why you decided to put the series together.
Honestly, it started kind of from my own experience. I was wounded in Iraq, medically retired, and really floundered for a long time with my identity. And I kind of felt like I was out there all by myself. And so much of what I experienced was a lot lost in translation. A lot of folks sort of identifying military veterans as someone who doesn't necessarily fit my face. You know what I mean? And so I began this journey where I photographed veterans in every state. I went to all 50 states, like 189 cities, and it was this journey of discovery and education. And with every veteran that I met, it was validating. I wasn't alone. But what I also realized was there was this tremendous disconnect between the veteran community and all the things that we weren't saying to our fellow Americans who maybe didn't serve. And this show is really meant to sort of lift the veil on that experience, to help demystify that military experience, to help empower my fellow Americans to engage the veterans where maybe folks might shy away, go headlong into that conversation, and really do our best to reintegrate veterans back into society, make families whole, or at least as whole as they can be, and have the healing process begin or foster that healing process and wherever it is in that time.
You mentioned earlier that when you transitioned out of the military for medical reasons, you felt alone. And I think a lot of times when we hear other people's stories, that makes you realize that you're not in fact alone. And so you highlight, you know, close to 24 other stories as part of this series. So everyone has different messagings, but I'm sure there's like a common denominator or a common thread.
Well, I think that's the one thing we kind of overlook is a lot of us went through a combat experience, but the military experience itself, even for veterans who may not have been to combat, it's transformative. There's this metamorphosis that happens, and the military does a great job in conditioning you into being what they want you to be, but there's no guide on how to transition back into civilian life. And that's one of the most difficult, most abrupt, and most hard transitions to combat, honestly. And, you know, it takes a nation to put our service members in uniform and to send them overseas. It takes a nation to bring us back. And so we're going to have to do that together. And I hope that this show is an education for folks who don't know that military experience and get a better understanding of who we are, our language, how we talk, what we mean when we're not saying things, and all the things that one might need to help start a conversation.
Yeah, and I think it's important too for civilians, as you mentioned earlier as well, for us to understand the real true sacrifice, because if we don't hear the stories, you know, we'll never learn, and it's important that we do learn.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. My fellow Americans don't know what they don't know. I have the luxury of being on the inside, and even then, there are still things that I am still learning. And so I think this show is so very, very important, and I really, truly hope that those who have not tuned into it will definitely give it some time. And hopefully it will spark some interest in establishing maybe some local community discussions or activate folks who may have always felt like thank you for your service was just not enough. And it will give you some tools to go ahead and do that within your communities.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, we say it sounds trite, and I certainly don't mean it that way on a personal level. But when we say thank you for your service, we should know truly what we're thanking you for. So I really appreciate you sharing this, and congratulations on putting together this series.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And we're going to put everything that you need to know about After Action on BloomTampaBay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. Welcome back to Bloom. We're bringing to light an eye condition that causes people to lose their sight. Researchers and doctors are scrambling to find a cure. And joining me now from the Duke Eye Center is Dr. Oleg Alexeyev. Doctor, welcome to Bloom.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be on your show, Gayle. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So, doctor, what is retinitis pigmentosa, and why is there still no cure?
Yes, so retinitis pigmentosa is a genetic condition. It affects the retina, which is the part of the eye that does all the seeing. So it can really be a big deal to someone who's got it. Now, it's a pretty rare disease, but still, there's about 100,000 Americans living with it. So what typically happens is a person will notice that they're having a hard time seeing in the dark. That's usually around their mid-teens or early 20s. And then as the disease progresses slowly and steadily, it eventually leaves the person with a very small visual field, sort of like tunnel vision. And in advanced stages of disease, even that central vision, unfortunately, can be affected, making it difficult to read or recognize faces. Now, you asked me why there's no cure for RP still, and the answer is because RP is actually not a single disease. It's a collection of hundreds of genetically different conditions that all look very similar. And with over 300 genes known to cause RP, making an individual treatment for each gene is a really challenging task.
And doctor, tell me about the research that you have going on right now. I understand you're very passionate about this, and even more so keeping this research alive.
Of course, yeah. So clearly this is a very tricky disease. So we have to think outside the box to outsmart it. So one thing we noticed at some point is that in many types of RP, the problem seems to be that the genetic mutation is causing the retina to make a whole lot of bad protein, which it cannot clear very well. And over the course of decades, as the protein accumulates, it overloads the retina, and the retina cannot function well. It starts sustaining damage, and that's when vision loss sets in. So, as a simple analogy, imagine if Tampa was getting overrun with garbage and folks couldn't go around town and do their work. The simple solution would be to bring in many garbage trucks and clean things up, right? And that's exactly what we're trying to do in retinas affected by RP. We have devised a way to help the retina clear that mutant protein and return to its healthy balance and avoid that damage and avoid vision loss. And a huge advantage of such a treatment would be that it would work for many people with different types of RP, regardless of the underlying gene involved. A one-size-fits-many, so to speak.
Doctor, we only have about a minute left, but I did want to ask you, I know you're so passionate about this. You meet with patients, but you spend a lot of time trying to find a cure. What can we do in the meantime to support family and patients?
Well, it's a great question, Gayle, and one that I get asked all the time. It's very important to be actively involved in tackling this disease. So I always encourage my patients to learn as much as possible about their condition and to stay updated on the latest research breakthroughs and new clinical trials. Many patients and families find it helpful to plug in with a support system to connect with other folks who are overcoming similar challenges. One thing that I really want to emphasize is that patients and families have much more power in this fight than they might think.
All right,
so
Doc,
we
I don't mean to interrupt, we're out of time, but I just want to thank you personally for all of your incredible hard work and everything that you do and for joining us today.
Of course, thank you very much.
And we're going to share this story on bloomtampabay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. Don't go away. It's time for today's Bloom trivia question. Which of these foods is said to tighten saggy skin? Cucumbers, watermelons, or eggplants? The answer is cucumbers. Experts say cucumbers may help retain elastin and hyaluronic acid, which are necessary to maintain firm skin. Some people apply the juice of a cucumber to their bodies to reduce swelling in the eye area. Some say it can also smooth damaged skin and make your eyes look and feel refreshed. This is due to cucumber's vitamin C and folic acid content, but you still need to use under-eye moisturizer. All right, thank you so much for tuning into Bloom today. You can catch Bloom anytime by following us on social media. We're on all major platforms, so get a behind-the-scenes look at all of the innovative breakthrough health and wellness conversations and incredible guests that we have right here on Bloom. You can watch our podcast anytime on YouTube or listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging, how to cut back on online spending. I catch up with the Her Money Solutions financial expert, Kristen Delfo, and find out about the growing trend of conscious parenting from the author of The Conscious Parent. Stay healthy, everyone, and I will see you on the next Bloom. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.